All right, hey y'all. So I want to start by showing you just how to use some of these settings on Zoom. So you first go there. I like to use my browser, so I just go to zoom.us because this is easiest to find your settings. And I go, you might have to sign in here. I'm just going to go to my account and then settings. And then you're going to see you're in the meeting settings already. That's what we want to focus on. So security wise, you always want to keep your waiting room on just so that you can kind of control, like if there's some like a Zoom bomber or something like that who's trying to just crash your Zooms, like then it helps you regulate who's coming in and out of your meeting. All this passcode stuff is already set for us, so you don't need to worry about any of that because it's all locked. When you're scheduling your meeting, you want to have the host video on and the participant video on because then the students are coming in and you're coming in with the expectation that you're going to be on the video and we're going to look at each other. The audio type is just going to come right from the computer, so you can leave that alone. You don't want to let folks join before the host because you want to be able to set up your Zoom room the way you want it before anybody else is in there. If you allow people to join before the host, they can get into your Zoom room before you even get into your meeting. The personal ID, we're not going to worry about this right now because we'll talk about personal meeting rooms later on. But I do like to mute my participants upon entry. And again, if I didn't want to mute my participants, I just turn that off and it tells me my settings have been updated. I do like to mute them because then that way everybody's coming in quietly, whether they're actually quiet or not. And then this just lets you get a desktop reminder if you want to get a reminder that you have a meeting coming up. I use my planner for that purpose, so I have that turned off. While you're in the meeting, ignore the encryption stuff. That's not important. The chat, I like to have the chat turned on, and I like to prevent the participants from saving the chat here. But you can click and unclick this depending on whether you want folks to be able to save the chat or not. I turn the private chat off so that they can't send individual messages to each other because that's just another distraction. You could turn this on if you were doing something where you wanted to save the students' responses in the chat. It automatically saves all in-meeting chats, so the host does not need to manually save the text of the chat after the meeting starts, which is kind of cool. If you're doing an activity where they're using the chat, you can turn on auto-saving chats, and it will automatically save all of those messages that go in there for you. Sound notification when someone joins or leaves, that's up to you. I like to have that on. But I only want to have it on for hosts and co-hosts. So only I'm going to hear when someone comes in or leaves. Then it's less distracting for other folks. And then you just click save and it updates that for them. File transfer, hosts and participants can send files through the in-meeting chat. I like that in case I need to send something for some reason in the chat. I like to be able to send files in the chat. And then all of these, again, you can read what these say. They're pretty simple, just like really personal preference type things. Screen sharing, you can say all participants can share. I like to turn that on because my students might need to share something for an assignment that they're doing. So I turn on all participants can share their screen, or you can say only the host, only you can share your screen. And then annotation, allow host and participants to use annotation tools. You can have that on. I like to have that on because that's how you can like write little messages, and we'll get into that later. But you also want to have this whiteboard turned on because that's a really nice feature that we're going to be using this year. So make sure that that's turned on. This is something we might get into later. Remote control, you can take over someone's screen when they're sharing it if you want to as the host. I'm going to turn that off just because it gets kind of dicey if you have it on, but we'll maybe dive into that later. Nonverbal feedback, I like to have this on. That's like those little clapping icons and the thumbs up emoji and all that stuff. That's the nonverbal feedback that folks can give you. And there's like go faster and raise hand and all that stuff. So that's these two things, the meeting reactions and the nonverbal feedback. Allow removed participants to rejoin. This is only going to be necessary if you accidentally remove someone from your Zoom room. If you remove them, they can't come in until you turn that on. So I'm going to click turn that on because who knows what type of mistake I might make. And I'm going to pause here because my time is running out, and then I'll start another video with the rest of it.